Hello, hello. It looks like we are live right now. Good afternoon. Y'all come on in the room. We have with us on the stream is Miss Damita Miller Shakelet of
Hey
Ujima
everybody.
Magazine and Miss Sonia Hosey of She Speaks Wellness.
Good Lord.
Well, and I'm Lady
Bless
Matt.
it.
It's good to see you, ladies. How y'all doing
Good to
today?
see you. Doing
Yes, it's great to
good.
see you.
Good. Good. Thank you.
The one can kind of jump right into this a writers roundtable. Damita, you've been doing this for a minute, dealing
Mm,
with writing and then putting together this beautiful magazine that you're
mhm.
sharing stories. And tell us a little about what got you on this journey of writing and then putting together the magazine. What was so great about that, getting that started?
Well, it came about because I had started writing for Equasi, the Nakoa, and I
Yes.
realized that I I knew I wanted to write, but I didn't know how to go about it. So I started there. And then one day I was just telling my husband that, I really want to write and do something like Aquasi and Tommy, but I want it to be a little different. And so we were just thinking about it. And he said, well, there's no magazine that has black people on the cover every issue. It kind of goes, it usually has everybody. And so I was like, yeah, that would be a good little niche because we have stories, we have things to say. And so after that, that's I decided that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I've been doing is telling the stories of our black community.
And I love that you're doing that. One of the bigger things that kind of drew me to you in the magazine, it
Hmm.
wasn't just like you do these big stories. You focus on everyday
Yes,
individual, and
yes,
that just resonated with me. Just everyday
yeah,
person can
and
be in history.
yeah.
Tell us about that.
And that's important to me because I worked for years as a caseworker, and I always say that, there were people that helped me and helped the client when, they didn't have much to give, but they were willing to take somebody in or be there for them. And that always resonated with me that, man, we have people out here doing things and nobody ever noticed them. And so I wanted to give them a voice to talk about, what they're doing in our community and how they're making a difference and that nobody really ever sees.
I love that. Like you're shedding a light on the everyday person, which is helping to
Hmm.
bridge, basically saying, I see you, we see
Yeah,
you, and
yeah,
together we're better together.
right,
Yeah,
right. Because we
you're
know
very good.
stories of celebrities, we know stories of people who are always in the spotlight, but you know, I just like learning about people who just live everyday lives and try to do the best they can while giving back in a way that they may not even know they're giving back, but they are.
Right, right. And then you bring on people like Sonia, who has
Yes.
a great backstory too. And tell us a little about, that connection there.
Me?
Yeah, introduce
Okay.
Miss Sonia.
Well, Sonia and I go way back. We met at well, now it's Integral Care. I was a caseworker, she was a supervisor, and we met there. And so we hadn't seen each other in a while, and then one day I think you emailed me about contributing, and I'm always looking for contributors because I want different voices, not just my voice, or I want other people to invest in putting out, what their opinions and what they feel. And so then we started. She started writing for Ujima, and it's been a real positive thing for us.
Love that. So Miss Sonia, tell me a little bit about who you are and what you bring to the table, like the stories you look to bridge and bring to life.
Well, first, I want to say thank you, Lady Madeline. Thank you so much, Damita. You know what? This has been an interesting ride and a amazing ride. And let me just say it this way, because I'm one of those little folks that is down to earth, not no one
Yes.
that's in the big news. But one of the things that I do know is that I have a passion for women. I have a passion for my community, and I have a passion
Mhm.
doing the work that I do, and I've been doing it for a long time. But one of the things that I thought it was very important is to bring the face, the voice to the topic around mental health,
Mhm.
the faith community, and women. I
Yes.
think a lot of times that this issue has been overlooked. And again, this is something that I have a passion for, have had a passion for it for a long time.
Mhm.
As a clergy, you see women suffering, and sometimes they don't want to say that they're suffering. Sometimes they don't have a voice to say that, nor do they want to, because we believe that we are strong women of God, but sometimes we need help. And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I found my story in their story and their story in my story. And I felt as though that it was a voice that needed to be heard, because once I believe that through the She Speak Wellness, we all want to become made well and become made whole.
Mhm.
And so just for me to have those stories to tell and to share, and some of them are testimonials, but then
Yeah.
when I recognized that there were testimonials, there were others that had the same testimony or the same issue that they had been going through. So this has
Mhm.
truly been a blessing for me. And I ask Damita all the time, are you certain I did? I mean, did I write that?
Yes. And I tell you every
Oh,
time,
you
yes.
check it again. I
It
hope I
worked.
did that right. Did I say it right?
Yeah, you did. And I always tell you, yes. Yeah, because I want people that are contributing to the magazine. I don't want to tell people what to write, because it's, to me, having a different, I have my regular stuff that we put in the digital magazine, but I want people that contribute to come with something different, and that makes to me, it makes it more interesting, because people can read more than just, what we think. It's more opinions, more look at different ways things are done.
Yes, yes.
I have a question for both of you. Right now in this climate, there is a a concern, maybe even a fear of speaking truth to power,
Hmm.
speaking basically truth to power. How are you all dealing with that narrative that's out there and covering these stories and still sharing light and love in this very interesting space we find ourselves in right now?
Well, for me, I'm going to say, honestly, it's a struggle, because in the background, I have a lot of opinions about stuff that's happening to our communities, happening at a bigger scale with our government. But it's a balance of, do I want to take that step out there, and really share what I really think, or do I want to just keep it, I don't know, in a box? I don't know. I have really been struggling with it. The first thing I did recently was, I'm a big follower of Joy Reid. I don't know if y'all are, but when she was let go at MSNBC, that just made, I got angry, because I looked at her faithfully, and I got to know different Black people in a different community. People I had never seen before were talking on her show. And it was just like, wow, where'd they come from? And so when they did that, I just had to say something. And so I said it, but chicken, I took the comment, I said, I don't want no comments, because I didn't want to hear, I just wanted to say it and put it there. I didn't want to hear people's opinions. And so I struggle. That's my struggle right now.
Yeah, I can believe that. What about you, Miss Tanya?
I think for me, I am an iron sharpen iron woman to the bone. Yes, there are some conversations that are difficult,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes when I have a passion about something, it's very difficult for me to keep my mouth closed. Sometimes I get in trouble.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm myself. But because I, again, because at one point in time when I felt as though that I didn't have a voice, once I felt confident in doing what I do it. Now, there are areas where I may not feel confident in. However, I know how to reach out to those who I know I can look up, I can call, because I don't have all
Mm-hmm.
the answers. Somebody to walk beside me, and then somebody else to be the voice. But yes, this is a difficult journey. But I think the more and more I tell my testimony, the
Mm-hmm.
easier it becomes. Um, because I want people to feel comfortable in telling their story.
Yes.
And just like platforms such as this, to have platforms and to have open discussions, this is door opening right here. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
these are
Yeah,
opportunities
you're right.
that some people may not have had. So this is just a stepping stone to allow
Mm-hmm.
people to know, look, I can have a voice on certain things. I haven't don't need to be ashamed. I don't have to put a mask on.
Yeah.
I can speak my truth and be free
That's,
with it.
yeah. And that's where I want to get to. I want to be able to, and especially as a person who writes, I want to be able to freely say what I feel and think, without all the noise. But I know noise comes with it. Like you say, sometimes you get in trouble with it. And I'm not used to that. So it's going to take me a bit. But if I'm asking other people to, like you say, tell their story and be truthful, then, I really need to do the same.
Yeah.
The thing here's the other thing that I love that you're doing, um, Damita. As a woman, as a black woman, you're also bringing other women along
Mhm.
this journey
Mhm.
with you. Ever since I've known you and even watching you from afar, it's this each one reach one, build
Mhm.
community, sisterhood that you just
Right.
continue to show. Well, who was the first woman that made you believe in your own potential?
Hmm. Well, I would say my mom first, but Sonia knows the person I'm thinking about. Florence Maxwell was my mentor when I started as a caseworker. And she believed in me and she would tell me things, and I'd be like, no, that's just not. And she'd be like, you can do it. She always had these little sayings, don't let them see you sweat. You remember that? She'd say, don't let them see you sweat. You are important, stand up, be heard, so she always encouraged me to be the woman that she knew I could be. And we recently lost her, and it's been a hard transition to not have her around. But she really enforced in me that I could do whatever I want to do and stop whining, stop acting like just do it and do it well. Her big thing was do it well and be heard. And so Florence Maxwell probably, besides my mother, was the woman that really believed in me.
Wow. What about you, Miss Sonia?
You know what? I always think about my grandmother. Everybody always say, Sonia, you sure do look like your grandmother. You act like your grandmother. And I have my grandmother, Hattie Mae Moore, up in my bones.
Hmm.
Little small little lady used to take me to church. Early Sunday school used to go to the jailhouse first, and then Sunday school, and then church, and then BTU, and then 6 o'clock
Oh
service.
Lord, BTU! I haven't heard
Yes,
that
the
in ages.
BTU, BTU. But you know what? Just recently, I was amazed of things that I did not know about my grandmother, because
Hmm.
I would always tell people, I said, my footprints is in Taylor, Texas. I said, I'm from a military background. I said, we
Mhm.
moved to different places. I said, but Taylor, Texas have always been my footprints. Well, I
Wow.
recently saw an article of my grandmother, and it talked about faith, strength, and
Mhm.
um, the segregation,
Mm.
integration, but bus
Yeah.
integration. I
Yeah.
never knew that she was that involved in Taylor in that specific way. I knew she's a community person. She was a
Mhm.
very short little lady that barely say nothing, but she didn't need to say anything because they knew that when Hattie Mae Moore came through, that
Yeah.
they had to respect her. But for
Exactly.
me to see the stuff that she did
Mhm.
on paper, it just brought me to a whole new realization that Sonia, what you're doing, it was
Mhm.
already in your bones.
Yes.
It was already there. The
Exactly.
goodness was already there. You know,
Mhm.
so it's all from my little grandmother Hattie Mae Moore of
That's great.
Taylor, Texas, that she's passed away, but I love her dearly. Yes, and then
Mhm.
of course my mom,
Yeah.
my mom, my
Yeah.
mom. Yeah,
I
my
love
mom.
that. I love that. As you all have been doing this, what are some of the what give me some of the stories that have just kind of you were surprised to find out after you were writing a bit or you wanted to write on a particular topic and you
Mhm.
had one thought going in, but afterwards it was a 180, totally surprised uh,
Mm.
that you found from some of your writings or interviews.
Trying to think, there's a lot of stories.
I know, isn't it?
uh, mm.
Wow.
I don't have it's not that type of story of where I went in and it came out different, but I think the story that always stays with me is the story I did on Carolyn, who lost her daughter at Reagan High School through a what they call it, her
Oh,
boyfriend.
domestic violence. Mhm.
Yeah, and just to be able to sit and talk to her and learn about her daughter, um, and the struggle, the pain and the hurt that caused her. I mean, we must have cried during the interview, but it just that always stays with me because it's so many people who are losing their children to those kind of violent deaths, and it's just not it's just unreal.
Mhm.
And I did, become a part of her foundation and everything, which is no longer active. But that story just stays with me all the time.
Wow.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
this on it.
Yeah. I'm not sure if there were several articles, but there was an article that I did that I'm not even sure if I gave it as much grace as I could have.
Hmm.
And one of them, it was speaking about a women's retreat
Mm,
that I had
yeah, it
along
was
with
powerful.
healing, with Aki healing.
Hmm.
And one of the things that if we understand the heart and the breath of our women,
Mm.
especially women who are in leadership, who are clergy, who are on the front line in ministry and all of these different things, and they're coming together to tell their stories.
Hmm.
That took me to a whole new place that I'm not even sure if I gave that justice in 250 words.
Hmm.
I mean, we're talking about life. We're talking about breath. We're
Yeah.
talking about change. We're talking about a desire that there's something deep within them that they have a desire to change. But this journey sometimes is hard. But then there's
Hmm.
also rewards of it that comes out of it that they see that yes,
Yeah.
at one point in time I was in this deep dark place, but now I can see that at least in this deep place I can see a rose that finally comes out of
Yeah.
somewhere
Yeah.
somehow, and that was the beauty of it, the beauty of it. But that was one of the main ones that I remember because I can see the faces. of the women. I felt the hearts of these women, and
Mhm.
it seems as though that even through this magazine, Damita, you have brought together so many different stories that I'm certain is relatable to somebody. I am
Mhm.
certain that you've hit something somehow. And that's the beauty of it because it's coming from different directions. But to
Mhm.
that story about them, about the women through this retreat, and then my experience through the retreat,
Mhm.
it took me to a whole new place because that exposed me to another level.
Yeah. And I want to say too, we do have, besides Sonia as a contributing writer, we do have Jackie Johnson, who you may know as Jackie O online, um, and we have um, a young girl, oh Lord, Aubrey Edmond, and she's a student. She's our young writer, and I always title her stuff "Finding Her Way"
Oh,
because she goes up. You know, she's young. She's trying to
yes.
figure it out, and but her stories to me are just, I don't know. They take you to a place when you were young, you know, and you was trying to see, you know, do I want to go to law school? Do I want to, you know, do I want to live in California? You know, it's just, you know. So I always title her stuff "Finding Her Way," and then we have Christina Gobert, who is also she writes more about natural healing and how we can um, enrich our bodies with better things instead of just the bad food we eat and all that. She talks more about healing your body
Mm,
and your mind and your spirit. And so I have learned a lot from her stories, you know, that I learned from everybody's story. I learned from everybody's interview. But we do have four contributing writers that really hit different marks that really builds up Ujima um, to where it is.
I love that. And
mhm.
as we're talking about those types of things, when you guys are facing obstacles
Hmm.
and challenges, where do you draw your strength from? And when you talk about when you get to writers and you're starting about like a writer's block, you're like,
Hmm.
I can't. It's not coming to me. It's not. How do you, or do you ever deal with that challenge of coming up with finishing out that story or putting it in the right way in the right words? How do you how do you overcome that?
Well, for me, I have quite a few writer's block every couple of months, and I tell my team, "Oh Lord, I'm just not getting it. You know, I can't get it down right."
Uh-huh.
And then they kind of talk me through it. Um, but and then I just kind of sit with it, or I just come. One issue, um, Eliza helps me. She does all my research and help me come up with stuff so that I don't have to spend time doing all that. Which thank you, Eliza. And so one thing she was expecting me to write about, because that's what we had discussed, and she said she don't know where that, she said, where did that story come from?
Come from. Oh my gosh.
I said, I'm sorry, I just couldn't get it down, so I just had to go with
Yes.
something else. So it comes and goes, but I try to stick with the script, but sometimes I just have to go left because it's just not there.
As
Mhm.
well,
Mhm. I understand, Demita, because there
Yeah.
were many a times that I had a block, and I'm thinking to myself, Lord, if I don't get something in by the 19th, I'm gonna get a email or something. I mean, because one day I truly remember I'm trying to think and I'm trying to think and literally I had tear down my eye. I said, "Now, Lord, you're gonna have to give me something." But it took a conversation. A
Mhm.
young lady called me out of the blue, and she
Mhm.
was talking about something. It was something, and I listened to her, and I'm thinking, you know what? We can learn so much from other people in the words that they say.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't consume what you really heard until you
Mhm.
hear it again. And it made me kind of see it from her eyes, and I'm thinking, you know what? She gave me something right there.
Yep.
I'm so glad she called me that day because if not, I would have like have a tear right there.
Right. I know it gets bad
I know
sometimes.
it gets bad.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So, as you guys have been writing for a long time, what would you tell advice to give to maybe to someone that may say, "Oh, I don't know, I like to write, but my voice is not good enough," or "I don't think I'm good enough." What advice would you give somebody that might be
Well,
looking
what
at
I've
that?
learned in all the the years I've been here, we all have a voice, and my voice has been quiet for many years. I mean, I started with journaling because that's how I get stuff out of my head. But we all have a voice, and you just have to sit down and write. It doesn't even have to be, just write down what you're thinking, and then when you realize it, you're writing, and it makes sense, but you just have to do it's sort of like art. I'm trying to learn how to be an artist. And I started like way down at the bottom. You couldn't even recognize what I was doing. But I've kept at it over the years, and now you can recognize a face. But I had to start at some point. And so to me, writing is almost like that. You just have to write, you know, there are prompts out there that can help you, or you can just write about your day, anything, but just put it on paper and you got it.
I agree. I agree. I don't
Yeah.
consider myself as a writer at all.
But you are.
Consider myself as walking through life.
Yeah.
That's that's it.
Yeah.
Walking through life. And I would tell any young person, just you know what, during this time and this journey,
Hmm.
life is short. Share
Yeah.
your voice. Young, old, in between, man, woman, they want to hear something, and you may be the right person that write the right word. And
Hmm.
so never be afraid of just taking that time, walk just one step in front of the other. It could be a paragraph or two paragraphs, three paragraphs. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
really just try, give God all the glory for how he is going to use you. And you
Hmm.
know it yes,
Yeah.
yes, woman of God, woman, young lady, whoever you are, just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
You'll
Yeah.
love it. You'll love it.
Yeah.
It's a cathartic release, and it's like putting your brain on paper and see
Hmm.
the words come to life.
I know.
Yeah. You really
Um,
do.
so for you all, like, how do you replenish yourself? You guys are both givers. You do. What do you do for yourself to replenish yourself to get back to be able to go back and do that giving and all that stuff you do?
Oh, what do I do? I well, I do my art when I can, but actually, I need to. Ujima takes up a lot of my time, and so I really need to learn how to take a break from Ujima. But um, I try to do my art. I meet with friends and have brunches and stuff like that to kind of with my team and with friends. My book club, we still meet, um, and so I do those kind of little things, but yeah, that's what I do.
I had to make a decision in my life because I did not want to get back ill again. I was
Hmm.
one of those rats on those little, what do you call them? What do you call them things?
Hamster wheel, yeah,
On the wheel. And I knew I did not want to get there ever again because I knew there was so many things that I wanted to do. But if I ended up sick again, I could not do them. So
exactly.
I take advantage of the Aki healing with Kay Hutchinson, which is breath,
Hmm.
5-minute resets, literally just breathing through your nose and breathing
Yeah,
out. sometimes just sitting and understanding, standing outside or sitting outside um,
Mhm.
in the sun. I mean, literally, I have to, because if not, I can feel literally where my body is beginning to get tense or
Yes.
fluttery, or my mind is going all kind of different directions.
Mhm.
And just through some of those resets and some of the breath work and all of that, the tools, I had to start doing it because I had no other choice.
Right.
I had no other choice, and I knew I didn't want to go backwards.
Yes.
Um, so just the small things, just getting away, getting off of this,
Mhm.
know, the screen and all these different things. Because I think that self care, all of that is very important in order for you to continue to do the work.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
most definitely. And what I, also with that is sharing the load. You know, when you think about sisterhood, how how has it been with creating that sisterhood environment? Like, how do you tackle those things that are kind of heavy? Are you able to um, have other friends and collaborations? How important is that in this journey that we're trying to do of life, of having that village, that team?
Yeah.
How important is that in y'all's walks right now?
Mhm. Well, for me, my team has been with me since we started, and we started in 2008. So it's the core group of us is it's four of us, four, and so we've grown from we know that we have business to do, but we also take time to do like get together and laugh and talk and talk about other. We don't even really ever deal with Ujima when we're at those times. We're learning and we're laughing, and so my team has been a big support, and my family. Um, yeah, my family. My mom is still here, but uh, it's my sister and I. Um, we're struggling with our I mean, we love our mother, and her not being in our everyday life is hard.
Yeah,
So we have we get together and we try to have Saturdays where we could sit and kind of talk and laugh. But um, and then I have my book club friends, and we meet, and we ain't talking about no book. We don't even have to read the book. They would kill me. But we enjoy each other.
yeah,
We've been meeting since 1999 or something like that. It's been a while, 97. And so, we've grown together and we're growing into, older women together and figuring out, oh, Lord, we got this pain, that pain, this person over here is sick this weekend, this person, So it's like we're just getting like old ladies. But it's good to know that you have those people that you
yeah.
can share that with. And so that's how I handle it.
Yeah, yeah. My sister and I, my older sister and I are probably best friends. I mean, she's seen me in different phases of
Hmm.
my life. But to be very transparent, as a woman clergy, is very difficult to find that close um, group of
Hmm.
circles,
Hmm.
because sometimes there is a belief uh, that you have to be a certain way, and uh,
Hmm.
you should never have problems. And if you have problems, there's something wrong with you. And
Right.
so I'm kind of sandwiched between trying to maneuver myself between clergy is, let me just say, ministry is difficult, because you're dealing with men,
Mm,
And then you're dealing with women. Um, and sometimes you find, and me, find myself somewhat alone because it's hard to find someone that will truly embrace my heart
mm-hmm,
without trying to manipulate or to it's hard for me to even bring words to it, but I
mm-hmm,
do know that as a woman clergy trying to do the work sometimes can be very
mm,
difficult, and sometimes you feel alone and you really don't know who to go to
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and who's really going to have your heart for real, for real.
Yeah, yeah.
You see, and so I normally go to my sister.
Mm-hmm.
But in the reality, yes, I do have friends. Yeah, I mean, I have friends,
Yeah.
but those that I need to have those raw kind of conversations, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to find that.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
I believe that. One thing that one another thing that I appreciate about Ujima, what Damita is putting together, is there is authenticity in the voices that are coming from the magazine. Um, it's not one of those magazines where it's just everything is all roses. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's an authentic voice,
Mm-hmm.
whether whoever's dealing with whatever the story is. And I just appreciate Demita and also you, Sonia, of what you're doing and sharing that voice, that message, changing the narration, um, but also showing that we have this vast tapestry of enrichedness
Mm-hmm.
and uniqueness in our community. So, Demita, I'll ask you going forward, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to do with the magazine? Some of the stories that you're excited to tell and branching out.
Well, I know you and I had talked about, incorporating our young people a little bit,
Mm,
because we have a lot of
mm,
young children, kids, teenagers, um, that are entrepreneurs, that are,
yes.
doing they're starting their positive road. And
Yes,
so I want to be able to support them. And so the hope is that we, you know, I want to have a young person in the digital copy, the magazine as much as possible, sharing what they're doing, um, and what else? And I just want us to continue to tell stories of people that are making a difference. And I guess too, lately I've been feeling like, and people who read the magazine and read my viewpoint, I always talk about our history being erased, and you know, we need to make sure that we tell our stories and tell our young people so that our stories can keep going, because like somebody said, you can't erase our history. I know that, but it makes me so upset that still today people act like we're not important.
right.
We are important. And I just want to be I want Ujima to my legacy to be that we're telling our history as of now.
Yes,
So when people hopefully look back and see what we've done, they can see that we told the story of our community and what was happening at that day and time. And so it's important to me to continue telling stories, because I just think it's important. And I don't want anybody to ever think that, oh, the Black community is only this way, they're only that way. No, we're intelligent people. We live our lives every day just like everybody else. And we have a purpose, we have things we want to accomplish. And those are the things that I want to make sure that Ujima, you know, does. I want people to read that and feel that and be a part of it as well.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am, Sonia.
As I'm sitting here and I'm looking at Damita Miller Shanklin, someone that I've known for a long time, and I'm sitting here and I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
As meek as her voice is, as meek as your voice is, I would have never known of the power and the voice that you have given and allowed other people to give from not only from their heart, but from their voice to make a difference. And it all came through you. It all came through you. I'm so glad that you have reached out to some of the younger people, because these younger people, they too want their voices to be heard,
Yeah,
and
they
they
do.
see a door to be opened. That's that's
Mhm.
that's the main thing. Now, Lady Madelyn, what was the question? I
Because
just had
we
to
get
go
all off on.
because here I am. I'm looking at Damita and I'm about to cry, and I'm like, okay, let's go, Damita. That's
Yeah, and it's all about sisterhood again. So for you, tell me, like, where do you, from where you are now, what does the expansion look like? What does the future look like for She Speaks Wellness? Where you plan on
Mhm.
the next plans?
You know what? Through She Speak Wellness, it came through a place, especially when um, I have a Facebook group what is called Iron Sharpened Iron for my sisters. And it came during a time during the COVID when the environment or the culture from a Facebook group, the language began to change, because there was hurt.
Mhm.
Not as much encouragement, but there was more hurt, there was more deaths, there was all of these different things. So, what do I want She Speak Wellness to look like? I want She Speak Wellness to come into a place where we can see women really coming together to support each other. When they say iron
Mhm.
sharpens iron, as one woman sharpens another, I'm not
Mhm.
sure where God is going to take this. I have no plans, I have no blueprints. I'm just following to what God is trying to tell me to say. I mean, I may have these grand ideas, and I have a big old board in front of me right now. And matter of fact, the board came from Damita, because Damita the sticky notes and the timelines and the so Damita, you would be proud of me because I have a huge
Oh yeah,
thing in
I
front of me. It's really hard to say. But one thing that I recently found out, well, it actually was about 6 months ago. The one lady that came down for our retreat, she's from Florida. She's also involved with NAMI, doing some
yeah.
stuff in mental health. She started to do interviews with clergy around mental health, emotional well-being, and all of that. Well, she took a part of what she's learned through She Speak Wellness and started
Mhm.
doing it in Florida.
Wow, that's
And when
great.
she did that, it amazed me because she sent me a message and she says, Minister Jose, I just want you to know that you made an imprint in my life, an imprint
Mhm.
and an impact in my life. There was something that came as a result of that I believed that this conversation with clergy was very important for us to continue to have. And so
Yeah.
now she's taken it not only for women, but she's also taken it to men of God,
Okay.
senior pastors
Okay. Yes,
in
Lord.
the area. So I believe that the nuggets have been laid, and it's almost as though
Mhm.
anything that's been laid, go forward, do whatever. Lord, you take me, tell me what
Mhm.
the next step is, because I don't know what the next step is. I don't know. If you have any guidance, just let me know.
Well, you just keep on that same path because you're doing well.
Amen to that. I'm looking at the screen, and one of the things that our society tends to tell us is when we reach a particular age,
Mhm.
your life is really, you can put it up, you can retire, sit down somewhere. But what I'm excited to see is even after 50, there's still life.
A
You
lot
have,
of life.
you have something to give. What? How can we encourage women that are maybe seemingly about to retire or their kids are grown now? They're thinking, what can I do? Like there's really nothing in it for me to
Right.
what do you guys have any advice to kind of share with women that might be feeling that way?
I'd say, because my plan is when I retire, if I ever get to retire, I'm going to do my art. I'm just going to take it easy. I'm going to give volunteer. I'm a dog lover, so my plan is to volunteer with the dogs and stuff. But do figure out the one thing that say you didn't get to do because you were raising kids, you were working, and now you're at the point where you can actually do something for yourself. Figure out what that start with just one thing, and it could be small, it could, whatever, and start doing that, and then you'll see that you'll meet new people, your network will grow, and you won't even be staying at home because you'll have all these other things to do. But I would say, just do something for yourself, and of course I'm telling you this and I need to do it, but pick something to start with that you really love, and just start doing it, and I think it'll be a good start.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Recently, and and I guess I'm ashamed to say, but recently, I was involved with an institute. Well, I'm currently involved with an institute, and it's called the Heal Alliance. A beautiful young lady who is over the Heal Alliance, which is called the Central Texas Network Weavers. But
Hmm.
it was interesting because she brought together probably about 10 or 12 of us, some men, some women, but majority of them are very young.
Okay.
And so one day I'm sitting around the campfire and I'm looking around and I'm seeing all these young, beautiful young ladies and these
Hmm.
young men that were on fire trying to do the work. And I remembered I was on fire doing the work. And I sat there and I felt so old.
Yes.
I felt old. And then I started feeling bad. I said, I said, I said, this is the first time that it has set in me that I'm older.
Yep. It's like, where did the time go?
I said, and so I said, and I told him, I said, you know what? I really appreciate you all. And I told the person through Heal Alliance, I said, I thank you so much for giving me this scholarship. I said, I'm not sure why you may have given me the scholarship. I said, but you gave me the scholarship, and I'm sitting around all of these vibrant,
Hmm.
intelligent minds that are so wise, and some of them are so bold, and
Yeah.
and I remember being bold, and now all of a sudden I'm just sitting around and trying to do this. But the thing about it is, um, when I retired, and I had to retire because of my chronic disease, I got real ill.
Hmm.
But I'm working harder now than what I was before.
Exactly.
I'm the hardest working volunteer there is.
Yeah, you
I'm
are.
hardest working. But
Yep.
it brought me, when I sat there with these young people and we're sitting around the thing and I'm looking around at them, and I was so proud of them. I felt like an old mother hen. And I said,
Hmm.
I am so proud of you and what you're doing and continue to do. Like I said earlier, iron sharpen iron, as one person sharpens another. I learned from the old, from the young to the babies to the
Yeah.
whatever. But it a few times, the last time I talked to him, I said, one of them said, Miss Sonia, can I carry your bag? I said, I'm not that old for you to carry my bag. I said, they said, no, 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 Miss Sonia, I got your bag. I said, well, go on and get my bag.
Yes, as you want to.
Whatever. But I can
Yeah.
carry my bag. But go ahead. Carry my bag if you want to carry my bag.
Yes. Yes.
But no,
Oh,
it's good. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
I love that. So our last, as we get up out of here, we
Well,
have a
we
few
want to
minutes.
also remember to say something about the people that have said something in the chat too before we go. But keep going.
Yes, that's what's going to bring them up. So we got some people up. That was a great conversation up here. And uh, one comment was, I'm going to put this back up there.
The word
Oh,
sage. Yeah.
I
I
have to use
like
that
that.
one. I have to use that one, Sage.
I do like that.
That's a
I
good
know
one.
that was
That is a good one.
a
Yeah.
good one. But lastly, we think about get my glasses on.
Lord, yes. I can't see
Hmm.
nothing. That mine.
So
I still can't
both
see.
the last for both of you.
Hmm.
How do you intentionally create space for other women to rise?
Mm,
How do you intentionally create
Mm,
for other women to rise?
mm.
that's a good one. I'll
Yeah.
let you go first, son. I
Well,
gotta think.
I think I'm at the age, and somebody told me, Sonia, don't you say you old. Don't you ever say you old again.
Hmm.
But I think I'm at the stage of my life that I am so grateful that God gave me another chance to live.
Hmm.
I think when you come into the life and death situation in your life, you begin to realize that there's something that's more important. And I truly believe that I see the gift in many. I
Hmm.
really do. I see the gift in many. And so I try my best. And I'm not saying that, all the time, but my desire is to always give people a voice. And why? Because Sonia didn't have a voice before.
Hmm. Hmm.
I was stagnated at one point in time. Did I ever want any of this to happen to anybody else? No. That
Right.
was the whole purpose of it. That was the purpose of Iron Sharpen Iron. It was only for the purpose of making sure that somebody else's voice was being heard.
Yeah.
So I learned from them, they learned from me. And
Yeah.
I thank Damita so much for what she's doing because a lot of times we really learn from each other. And
Hmm.
Lady Madeline, I did not think that I was going to see you tonight. I'm thinking last time I saw her, I think she was at teaching Bible study or something.
She be everywhere.
I'm like, oh, Lady Madeline. I said, I think I know Lady Madeline. Now I know. Small world. It's a
Small
small.
world, small world.
Yeah.
Miss Damita.
And say the question one more time. I know we almost say it again. I forgot what it's something. Yeah. I forgot, Lord.
How do you intentionally
I
create
know
space?
it's late, right? For me, I'm usually sitting with my I kept telling everybody today, Lord, I'm gonna have to try to do something to stay awake till 7 o'clock.
My Lord.
So how do you intentionally create space
Oh
for
my
women?
God. To
Did you
what?
get that? Wait, let me do it again. Get my glasses.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I was
To create
How
space.
do you intentionally create space for women to rise?
well, for one, I just use the tool that I have. And the tool that I have is the magazine. And so, if people are interested in contributing or being a part in some way, then that's how I allow them to have a voice because Ujima is a community magazine, and so in order to be a community magazine, you got to work with the community and the people in it, and um, so just using the tool that I have, and I try to use it and make it available to people that are interested as much as possible.
Mhm.
We work. One thing that I can say, our team, we've been through a lot of versions of Ujima, but my team never stopped giving their all. They've never stopped. We went from a newspaper and they were like, what? But they were like, okay, we're gonna make it happen. We'll make it look. But they always make sure that no matter what we put out, that it's our best, and we work hard at making sure that people that look at Ujima, it's quality, um, and so I appreciate everybody that helps and does that. And so just using the tool that I have as much as I can.
Yeah, you are, and you are doing that. You are doing
Yeah.
that. You are
Yes.
a light in a dark world. You're creating
Yes.
spaces for us, for our community, and but you're doing it with such class and elegance.
I know.
It is
Mm,
commendable. So
thank
thank you for
Thank
what you
you.
do and all you do. We
thank
love you.
you.
We
We
do.
do.
Thank
So
you so much.
that's going to conclude our time together.
And
This
that
was a
was
lot
a
of fun. We
good
got
one.
That was
get
quick.
to know Damita.
I know. I done talk more than I ever talk.
I love it though. We want people to get the magazine, subscribe, get readers. Sonia, thank you for what you do in
Well,
your
thank you.
journey in your
Yes,
contribution.
Thank
your
you.
work is
And we
very
want to
good.
follow you too and follow your She Speaks Wellness
Thank
journey
you.
as well.
And thank
Thank
you,
you.
Madeline, for GoneMad Productions and being a part of Ujima and us working together.
I'm loving all of this. This is, I said this is like a ministry. So we got to do what we need to do to help spread that light. There's more good out there than there
No,
is.
Yeah,
I know.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you guys again.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank you
great
both.
week,
Thank you,
everyone.
Thank
Sonia.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank everybody that was listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank y'all. Have a great one.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Good
Yeah.
night.